Hey everyone, welcome to the Maid Summit. This is Carlos. I am so excited to have you guys here today. It is going to be a wonderful time of just sharing with you guys how I've been able to run my maid service and really work with my heart on my sleeve and give my customers that 5-star customer service. It's so incredible to just be there for them, for the clients, and remember that without them, we wouldn't be able to be doing what we do. So really, a little bit about me is I worked in the private sector. I've worked in the public sector as well, and through it all, I came back and ended up opening up my own maid service in 2016, towards the end of it. Really didn't start operating until 2017, and then started taking clients immediately and working with a team. And now we have a operation that serves 3 different counties here. I'm based out of DC, and so we service DC, Maryland, and Virginia. And we have I have total 10 staff members now, and I have about 400 clients total, but obviously we don't service, unfortunately, all of them. We get to service about half, if not a little under half throughout the year. So that's a little bit about me. It's a wonderful journey that I've been on, and I've been able to learn so much from many of the other speakers that are presenting this Maid Summit. So it's just been again, incredible, and I'm so happy you're here, and I hope that what I have to share is useful, especially for a lot of new business owners out there. It's not easy. It took me a long time to learn everything I'm about to share with you, and I didn't have a lot of people to network with in the industry when I started, and so through ZenMaid and just different other networks, I've been able to find people to connect with and learn from them. So let's just start off with, how to get that client to be impressed with you and just remember who you are in the long run. And that's just by being responsive. We want, we're clients ourselves. We order food, takeout. We do different services in our homes as well. So we know what it is like to be a frustrated client, and we don't want that to be our way of doing business. So being responsive is being able to communicate effectively with our client base, and just remember that you can't always get to everyone at the same time, but you can always delegate, especially if you're a bigger cleaning company. You have staff that you can delegate things to, or if you're just a one-team show, then you can just text back if you feel comfortable texting your clients and just say, hey, I'm currently at job site. I'll get back to you later this evening, or if you would just want to take it there, that is always helpful too. But just remember that just letting them know where you are in the process, whether you're doing estimates or you're doing complaint follow-ups, it's always just important to be communicating with them throughout the process. Don't leave them in the blank in the background. Just always try to communicate with them and let them know what you're working on. So just as response time matters to our clients, how we communicate with them also matters. We don't want to be obviously rude. We don't want to come off condescending to them. We don't want to not validate, right? We don't want to seem like we're not paying attention to their concern or their issue. So it's just a matter of how we respond back to them, whether it be that email that, with their tone came out nasty, but we want to just make sure that we're always responding back like, hey, we listen to you. I know sometimes it's not easy. I've dealt with it plenty of times, but we just want to let them know we're listening, we're sorry, and we'll get back to you and we'll investigate if it's something serious. So just how you communicate, always do it in a polite way. And then the last thing is following up. we want to follow up with not only our regular clients, but we want to follow up with our one-time clients and our former clients. So whether they've discontinued services or they were just a one-time client. So we it's very important that, especially if you use lead services or lead service generators, that you always keep track of who your leads are. That way you can keep that contact information, and if they never bought from you, you can follow up with them. And I learned that the hard way because I was spending so much money on leads, but I wasn't just asking the right questions. And so they would message me, especially on Thumbtack, where they message you and you never hear back from them. So now what I've started doing is immediately asking them, great, thank you so much for, I start messaging them and I start saying, thank you so much for contacting us. We would love to help you. What is a good phone number to reach you at? So I immediately not only have their name, but I also have the phone number. And it just works so much better that way. Sometimes I don't call them because they close the deal themselves right on the application. But if they don't, then I follow up with that phone call. And a lot of times, I'd say about 85% of the time, I'm able to get them on the phone. I'm able to explain our services, our pricing, and close the deal. And if they don't buy from us or use our services, then I have that information in a spreadsheet and I can follow up with them, 2 weeks later, a month later, 2 months later, and even especially in the holidays. And it matters. So that's so important that you follow up with those leads and with those new clients. You want to, obviously the bread and butter in our industry is having a recurrent client. So we want to be able to use the new clients as we already have it's kind of like a warm lead. So we want to be able to sell them our services. So, follow up with them. If they're home after your service is done, show up and, ask them how it was, or, what you can do to get them booked, whether it's a small discount or something like that, especially if you didn't offer them a discount for the one-time cleaning. So at Premier Maids, we started implementing the 2, 2, and 2 rule, which is we follow up with our clients 2 days after the appointment, 2 weeks after the appointment, and then 2 months or about 2 to 3 months. If we can get them in that 2-month period, we try the month after and continue then. It's so important, especially for the one-time clients, like I was saying earlier. It's so important to get them on the calendar for recurring services. But if you can't convert them to a recurrent client, then it's so neat that you can be able to convert them to like a sell when you have special promotions that you're running to fill up those empty slots. Or even during the holidays, I've been able to do an email blast, and I get recurring clients from them. At the same time, some clients don't necessarily want every month or every 2 weeks or even weekly service. So it's pretty cool that you can follow up with them quarterly and say, hey, you bought from us back in April. It's now at the end of June, July, we're starting a new quarter. We're running this $25 savings, or we're doing oven and refrigerator for $30, but it's normally $50, or whatever it could be. So just always follow up and show an interest in them, because that's how you're able to maintain a relationship with those kind of clients that aren't necessarily recurring, but they can become somewhat recurring through time. All right, guys, so we've talked about being responsive. We've talked about communication, and we also want to make sure that we hit a very good point, and that's using the tools and applications available to maid service owners. Personally, I really enjoy using ZenMaid. Amar, that's a free plug for you right there, but really I can't speak highly enough. I've used and tried a few scheduling softwares, and I think ZenMaid works the best for me. Obviously, everyone has different needs, so I'm not trying to say that you should only use ZenMaid, but give it a try if you haven't already. I think that it's important to remember that we need to keep track of our clients' recurring services. So having a good scheduler is key. It saves you so much headaches later on. And why not try to automate something that you spend, if you did it the way I did it. I used to keep a paper calendar and just write people's schedules and addresses and times and all that on the paper calendar. But now all I just do is plug it in one time, and it does it for me for the rest of the year, and even on 5 years, if I can project it that far out. But not only it helps you as the business owner create in a very professional image. I think that a lot of times we get confused in as unprofessional just because the industry, the name isn't sexy. I mean, who wants to be in cleaning, right? But I think that just creating that image helps a lot with even points that we've talked about, creating that setting that tone for the client. But also using good software automates everything. And so it helps you do those reminders so you never lose an appointment slot because of a lockout or a no-show. The clients get those text messages, they get those emails, they get the booking confirmation email when you first sign them up. So all of this just creates an image that the client is impressed by. And to get that 5-star customer service, we have to impress our clients in all that we do. And so be a small detail on that software that you write down their birthday, or you write down their pet's name, and when you send them a little Christmas card, you address it to John Smith, Anna Smith, and Buddy Smith, or whatever it is. So it's just very key to remember that excuse me, that using good software only makes your job easier, and it only sets you apart from your competition as well, because a lot of times that's what we're competing with is other people that may be offering a lower price, but what we offer is a professional image, professional team, and it just sets us apart, sets the tone for the rest of the service that they're going to receive. So using that particular tool is fantastic, and obviously there's other tools that you can use. I mean, whether it's using gift sender tools, so you want to send them a thank you gift for referring you, the next door neighbor. You just do your research, make sure that you do what works best for you and your company. Don't spend too much money at the beginning, especially if you don't have it. But as you grow, you want to start implementing things that set you apart, that also makes your job as a business owner easier. You don't want to be working, in growing the business and doing the sales, but also doing, on top of that, the bookkeeping, payroll, managing, training, and everything else. So try to look at what can help you now and start automating those tasks. So this is my favorite star in my 5-star technique. So I really do enjoy what I do. I love my clients, and I think this is the star that has given me the most compliments, and that's just being personable and approachable. You can do all the other things, but I think this one is the one that is the winner. And here's why: because I think a lot of times a lot of our smaller cleaning companies are competing with franchises, and so they have just big tools and big advertising, and just everything is bigger that they do. But what we can do differently is that we can be approachable and personal with our clients, especially because we're going into their private homes, into their privacy, and so we want to make them feel like they're valued, cared for, and just important. So I think that for me, one of the things I started doing was doing handwritten notes. I know it's an old school thing. There's so many websites that you can just pay $50 to $1 for a little nice printed note with, saying thank you and whatever your message is. But I don't think that it does the old school trick justice. I think it's a cop out. I mean, I've done it before. Don't get me wrong, but I think that it's very important to show that you're taking the time to tell your clients that you value them, and taking a minute or 2 minutes to just sit down and write these notes are very meaningful for the client, because they don't expect it, but they don't expect it at all, but it shows that you care. And so, and it's it costs, maybe, I think I do Vistaprint, and I buy like 100 thank you cards with our logo on it, and it probably is $25, maybe, if that. I can't remember the cost because I buy so many in bulk, and I just keep them, and it lasts. I still have probably another 250 cards left, and I probably have bought them since late last year. So again, very, very, very simple thing to do, affordable, and it just shows that you are taking time to think about them, and it goes a long way. And so I think the other thing that works is that you need to be present in your client's home. Do quality control checks if you're small enough. Obviously, if you have a bigger operation, you have staff to do that, but it never hurts to stop by and check in on your staff while they're working, but also checking in on a client, because I think that, especially if you're a bigger organization, they'll notice that even more. Small organizations, they like it, they appreciate it, but it's not as big of a deal, but I think that it still shows that you are there for them. And the other thing is that I love doing is when I do quality control checks, and I'm talking to my staff and making sure that they're following our training and our procedures. I love going in and just talking to the client, but also paying attention to their pets. A lot of my clients have dogs, and it's one of the things I noticed. I'm a dog person, and I have a dog myself, so I value when people take time to ask me questions about my dog, or play with my dog, or just acknowledge, right, that there's a dog in the home. So a lot of times I've stopped by and done quality control checks, and I play with my client's dog. I usually carry like a little bag of dog bone treats that I buy at Costco or Sam's. Obviously I ask the homeowner if I can leave it with them. If not, I just leave it in a plastic Ziploc bag and just write a little note saying, hey, stop by. Sorry to miss you, but I brought, in this case, let's say Bear. I brought Bear a dog treat. Wasn't sure if it was okay to give it to him. So, if it's okay, you can give it to them when you get home or whatever. So it's just the small details. I mean, it's so important to remember small details. I've sent clients birthday cards, with just simple happy birthday signed by myself, or sometimes I get my staff that works in their home sign, and it just goes a long way. It's just unbelievable. I mean, it's unbelievable what you can accomplish with such small details, and just being approachable by your clients. They notice that you care, and that to me goes a long way, especially when those details are done to me by another service provider that I use in my home. So it proves my point. So I'm not sure how many of you guys are doing this, but and I'd be happy to talk to anyone about it and see what results you're getting out of it. All right, so I just want to touch base on what we've talked so far, and we've talked about being responsive. We've talked about being there and communicative with our clients and following up. And we've talked about being personable. And also we've talked about using good software like ZenMaid. So next point is leading and training your staff with your core values in mind. It is so easy to get distracted in the midst of everything going on in running a business with not talking to your staff members about what your core values are. And I think that it matters. It's important, because once they believe it and they start working with that intentionality, they will make your clients feel valued, like they matter, and they're going to be able to be responsive and good communicators to not only your management, but also to your clients as well. Excuse me. So there's a quote by Mary Kay Ash, the founder of Mary Kay Cosmetics, who I think said it best when she said, "Everyone is important, and everyone has an invisible sign hanging from their neck saying, 'Make me feel important.'" So that to me is one of the key principles that I talk to my staff members about. We want to make sure that our clients are feeling that. We want to not only make them feel that way, but we want to make them feel like their home is important, right? We want to be able to take care of their belongings and their property. And so that all translates to our staff members being able to be careful and work with good diligence. And so once you're teaching that to your staff members, they're going to be able to translate that into their work and create good work habits for you. So, and I'm sorry, I keep looking at my notes. So we want to be able to train them, right? We want to reward them. So if you're training them with your core values in mind, you want to create good company kind of like reward program, or I guess like the stars, right? When we were in kindergarten or in elementary school, you work with a star system. So kind of make the same thing for your employees, because that way they feel like they're being also seen and valued and appreciated, right? So it's not only just about valuing and appreciating your clients because they pay you, but also appreciating and valuing your staff members, because that translates to good work habits in the client's home. And second thing is, or third thing, sorry, is at the end of everything, it's making sure that your core values are at the center of what you're teaching your staff members, right? So if you do training manuals for them or training videos, I don't know how you train your staff, but make sure that that's also incorporated in there, because you want to be able to make sure that they are believing in your company, believing in you and what you've done so far to lift up your company and get it to where it is. But you also want to have them carry that with them, because they're in the front line of your business, and they're how they respond to clients can say a lot about management and about the company itself. How they represent themselves with their uniform says a lot about the company as well. So, just making sure that we're all on the same page and we're able to believe in what we're doing matters. And just because we're in cleaning doesn't mean that we're at the low ends of either the population, but it just means that we love what we do. We like seeing something completed, and telling our staff members that it makes them feel appreciated. And I think that's so important to create that good customer relationship between the staff and the client. So that gets you that fourth star. And I personally believe it. I've been taught it. In other industries, and so it does actually work. All right, so the last star to our 5-star customer service is being a part of the solution. So we've kind of touching back on being personable and approachable, and good communicator is we talked about working with clients with how we communicate with them and in which way we communicate with them. So this is a little similar in the fact that we want to be able to solve the issues that they come up with, right? So we're in the service industry, so there's a lot of issues that arise, whether communication with staff members and main office isn't clear, communication with staff members and the client isn't clear, and communication between the client and office and management isn't clear. So and complaints happen because of that. And so how do we address it, right? So we never want to pass it off and blow it off. We want to own up to it. We want to make sure that our client knows that, hey, like, we messed up. We're human. We aren't perfect, and our staff isn't perfect. And so we acknowledge that the mistake was done. We want to rectify it, and here's how we're going to rectify it. So we want to own up to it. We want to be the first ones to own up to it, if possible. Sometimes I know it's hard because, again, that communication can be a little wonky sometimes between staff members in the office, and sometimes our staff members don't want to own up and fess up to their mistake. But again, it goes back to, if we're training them with our core values, and our core values is that we're honest at all times, and so that can translate to them being honest with you, and we can have that clear communication with the client about that mistake or error that was done in their home. So we want to own up to our mistake. We want to work on the solution. We never want to let the client feel like we just kind of said, hey, we're sorry, and leave it at that. We always want to be working towards creating solutions for different problems that may come up, and that they could be similar problems in different homes, right? Obviously, we want to mitigate those problems and make sure that they don't occur often. But if they do, we have a system in place that will allow for that to happen, or for that not to happen again, and we address it. So work on the solution. Make sure that you are communicating that. Again, effective communication is key. So we want to be communicating that with the client, what the solution is. So if we broke a lamp, we want to either have them purchase it, and then we discount it from the cleaning, or we just write them a check for it, or we go out and buy the lamp and just bring it to them. So we always want to be creating solutions, and solutions that make it clear for the client and ease. We want to make it easy for them. We never want to add more stress to them, because at the end of the day, they feel like they're paying us for a service, and so why do they have to be doing our job, right? So, and the last thing is, we want to learn, right? Like I said, create those systems in place that help mitigate the issues, apply them for the future so it doesn't happen, and if it does happen, we already know how to address it. It's so easy to get bogged down because clients, are, in different stages, so their needs may be different than, client X and client Z. But we want to be able to address those issues in a timely manner, right? Going back to one of those earlier points is, we want to be responsive and be communicative. So the quicker we are able to respond to that and address that issue and own up to it, the more satisfied our client will be. I mean, it sounds so silly that we're talking about this, but it just happens so often that, companies, and I've experienced this, where companies are just not good at communicating, especially when things go wrong. And so we want to be able to be at the front line, and we never want to have our clients call us back and say, hey, this was done. We want to be the ones doing that. And so, and always be working on solutions, always be amending your training program for your staff, and making sure that you're applying certain scenarios into their training program. So we're teaching the new hires how to, navigate through certain issues or certain problems, and you want to educate your team on reporting these things, because we're teaching them about honesty and about how you are able to work through these things, right? So, and we want to learn, again, for the future, and apply these things for the future so it doesn't happen again. Hey everyone, this concludes my talk. It's been a pleasure sharing with you these simple and effective tools that I use at Premier Maids, and I hope that you find them beneficial to your business. And if you have any questions or ideas, or you just want to tell me how you've been able to apply some of these techniques and see the results, feel free to contact me. I'll be more than happy to chat with you and cheer you on. And again, it's been a pleasure, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of the summit. There are so many chats left that I think are going to help me and help you just be better business owners, and I look forward to hearing from you, and I'll see you around.